This is Python's Paradise. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena, straight out of Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. And folks, here we are, July the 27th, 2022. And boy, I'm going to tell you, it's hot here. But boy, I'm looking at that fan spinning behind my cast, and I'm like, it must be cool there. It must be nice. Folks, we're celebrating, of course, the 40th anniversary of Visiting Hours. And I gotta say, my favorite part of the film is on the show with me today. Folks, I give you the very lovely, very beautiful Linda Purl. How do you do, Linda?
Hi, thanks for having me on.
I'm very, very loving that fan behind you. I gotta tell you.
If it's too just, I can move it. Is maybe
No. I like that.
Really? Okay.
I like that.
All right.
People often say here in Canada we live in igloos. No, we don't.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, but I'm liking that. Yep. I was just reading up on you, and I often ask people to give their background on how they got into the business, but I couldn't help but to notice, when you were young going to Tokyo, Japan and the theater there. And I've the furthest I've been is Toronto, so I've never been to a place like Tokyo, Japan, but talk about being there at a young age, the theater experience and the culture of going there.
Sure. Well, my dad was in business there, and that's why we went. And I, I mean, it was you when you're a child growing up, you just accept that as normal. So of course it was great and very normal for me. And it's a old culture, ancient culture. It's a art-centric culture. And my parents were both, although they were in business, their hearts were always in the theater. So it was just sort of a natural segue for me to start working there. There weren't that many foreigners living there at the time, certainly not who were interested in the theater and also spoke the language. And I speak the language, not because I did any studying. It was just, kids they just absorb languages as they're little. So all of that sort of conspired to let me have a career in the theater and in TV and in some film in Japan in the 60s. That's how old I am. And it was great. It was,
you're 39, I can tell.
Yeah. Thanks. So that was great. It was fun. It was, looking back at it now, I realize how unusual an opportunity it was. But at the time, it was just, doesn't everybody do this? So it was wonderful. I would say that I just did commercial theater. Obviously, I couldn't do kabuki. That's all men, no, etc. But I could do commercial theater. And so their approach to acting was very different. I later learned from what was happening in the States. It was much more formal. The Stanislavski method hadn't reached Japan at that point. It was still fairly new in the States. So, and we were doing Western plays. I did Oliver and did The King and I. And so it was sort of the Japanese understanding of the American technique, if that makes any sense. But it worked. The productions were glorious. Oh my gosh, the tech, the costumes, and the theaters and the sets and the musicians. I mean, it was a wonderful, wonderful time.
As you're telling me this, the image I have in my head is the movie Lost in Translation with Scarlett Johansson and Bill Murray.
Oh my gosh.
Would you say it's similar to that? Like, because you see Bill Murray on doing the commercial, and there's this funny line where he says, "Was that all?" It sounds like he said more than that, or something like that. Was it something like that for you, or do you remember?
It was, except that we were on the inside track, if you know what I mean. I mean, when that film came out, this little group of us who had grown up there were sending emails back and forth. You have to see that it's hysterically funny and very accurate. but particularly for those who were there, of us who were there since we were teeny weenies, we were much more on the Japanese point of view of things. And then later, once we moved to the States and, went through all that culture shock and stuff, it was like, oh, right, I get it. The two sides.
Do you speak any Japanese?
I do. I'm conversationally fluent now. I mean, I say that. Also, my Japanese is very old fashioned. Languages change, and Japanese had a lot of adapting to do because everything was delineated according to language, in much the same way that you can tell immediately in England by the accent, where someone's been educated or where they've all that. So in Japanese, there's a very distinct strata in terms of age and position in the society, male, female. So it's just the language itself is informative in a way that English, as we use it, is not. So, and that's all changed radically. And so I am not at all up to the minute on 21st century Japanese.
I was going to say, and I hope I'm not putting you on the spot, because usually at the end of the show, I get people to do plugs. But I want to hear some Japanese while it's fresh in my mind. I was wondering if you could say, I'm Linda Purl, and you're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise in Japan. Japan, can you
私は
say
リンダ
that?
パール、sure, 私はリンダパールです。そして、let's see, what's the word for show? Okay, we try that again. Gosh, did catch me off guard. Okay. 私はリンダパールです。そして、こっちは、グレグ・ギルバルトのお芝居です。どうぞよろしく。
That was awesome.
Oh, good.
I only speak two languages, English and 5 o'clock traffic.
Okay.
That's about all I'm fluent in.
All right.
And I try not to let the 5 o'clock traffic language come out that often. Especially at my day job. I work at the hospital here as a cleaner. So I've been on the front lines of this whole COVID thing. So around the patients and doctors, I kind of put the 5 o'clock traffic language out.
You bet.
But some of the patients don't, though. I hear some of them use it on some of the nurses, and it's kind of amusing.
Yeah.
The nurses laugh it off too. But nonetheless, that was amazing. I love that.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I admire. Like growing up, we took French from grade 3 to 9. And no, 3 to 10, excuse me. I never was able to pick it up, because everybody learns differently. I know my English, but I admire people that know multiple languages. Like that's a skill I don't have. So hearing you do that, it's like, wow, double thumbs up there. That was amazing.
Wow, thanks. It's sort of a party trick at this point. It's not really, practical. But anyway, I did go back several years, about 5 years ago, well, before the pandemic, and was there
Yeah.
for a month doing some concerts. And it was fascinating to just feel the synapses reconnect, and speak the language again. It was fun.
Actually, it's interesting you brought that up, because that's something else I read about you. You're very into jazz music.
I
Yeah,
am.
I've had some musicians on here, and some in jazz and some in various other lines of music. Would you say? I was going to ask, what is your favorite instrument to play? Do I take it with you're in a jazz band, you play an instrument?
No, I don't. I used to play the piano very badly, but no, I have a amazing music director named Ted Firth. We met about 15 years ago, and that was it. Joined at the hip musically. So we've
Okay.
done 3, maybe 4 CDs. We're about to start. Well, we're starting work on another one. It won't be out for a year probably, or spring at earliest. But yeah, he's an extraordinary jazz pianist. I mean, that's selling him short because he plays anything, but jazz is I think that's his sort of sweet spot.
Yeah. I know I sound kind of ignorant there because it's like I till I read up on you, I didn't know you were involved in music, but I
Uh-huh.
definitely want you to promote that. What is your band called?
Oh, thank you. It's not a band. It's just
Okay.
me. So on my website, lindapurl.com,
Mm-hmm.
there, CDs and stuff. But where are we? We're on, I don't know, where we find music these days, iTunes and stuff. Um, so let's see. The last CD we did, which I think was, our favorite is called Taking a Chance on Love. And one we did before that was called Up Jump Spring. And that was fun too. The other one, Midnight Caravan, was so anyway, those are the three. And they've been over the last, I can't keep track of time at all. I
I
mean, maybe
can't either.
8 years, something like that. But CDs take a while to build, record, mix, promote, all that stuff. So yeah. Taking a Chance on Love is probably my most favorite, only because Ted and I have had a chance to work together that much more. And we were just, how it is, you find the pocket a little bit more each time you do. So my area though is Great American Songbook. So that would be songs that we came to know by Rosemary Clooney and Tony Bennett, Frank Sinatra, all that. In a
Nice.
jazz feel. That's
Nice.
where we go.
Nice. I like that. Then I got a funny thought in my head because, of course, we're celebrating, of course, the 40th anniversary of Visiting Hours. I would have been 10 years old, but the year that came out. But
Mhm.
William Shatner has kind of been, of course, he pokes fun of himself. Have you ever heard him on the Howard Stern show? But I guess he's got his own line of CDs out too. And I heard people in the record stores were kind of laughing at it. Which, to be frank, um, William Shatner tends to laugh at himself. I've never met
Yes.
him, so
Yeah. Yeah.
I can appreciate the fact that he can take that, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. No, he does. And he does everything. I mean, I just love the fact that he's so in the game, always, but particularly this stage of his life. It's very cool.
So when are you gonna do a CD with him? You can be on key, he could be off key.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, Visiting Hours, of course, I believe a Canadian production, if I remember correctly.
Absolutely. It was kind of revolutionary at the time because that the first, yeah, we shot it in Montreal, which
Hmm.
I love. I mean, what a gorgeous, gorgeous city. And it was one of the first films. We shot it in, well, 1980. And it was, we shot it in 1980. I guess it took that long to come out, a couple of years. But it was one of the first films. Our brilliant producer, Pierre David, took advantage of what was then new tax regulations in Canada. And it was such a smart thing to do. It was devastating for Los Angeles because everybody could go up to Canada and shoot for, pennies on the dollar of what it,
Hmm.
because they were smart about it. They lifted all kinds of restrictions and just paved the way, just made it friendly and easy. And of course, they offer all the scenery and more that Los Angeles has to offer. So there was this great exodus of filmmaking up to Vancouver, Montreal, eventually Ontario, and Toronto. And but Pierre David was one of the first guys to figure that out and come down to the States and, pull a lot of the talent uh, from Los Angeles. And we were lucky to do it, and our Jean-Claude Lord, just wonderful, gifted director, sweet man, and so good, and with very much, I would say, a European sensibility about his directing.
I gotta say, you were my favorite part of the film. I really
Thank you.
empathized with your character.
Thank you.
You were wonderful every time you're on screen, and I was like, don't let anything happen to her. Don't let anything happen to her. You know, talk about getting cast in this film.
It just came in. They just called and I said, yes, that was it. That was the whole entire process. And I'm so glad I did. I mean, to get to work with with Bill and with Lee and with Michael. It was really good actors, wonderful actors in this.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. There was a lot of red herring stuff, like, or I shouldn't say red herring, but places where you're on the edge of your seat, particularly with regards to your character in the movie, you
Mhm,
know?
mhm.
Like, especially when you get children involved, you know?
That, yeah.
Yep, yep, yep. So, you were great in the movie. I loved you in it. And of course, Michael Ironside, of course, coming right off Scanners. Um,
Mhm.
I met the guy. Actually, one of the cons I do is Horrorama in Toronto,
Okay.
and I met the oh, his name's escaping me right now, but the guy whose head burst in
Yeah.
Scanners, and good sense of humor. And I've interviewed Stephen Lack from it, and they all said great things about working with Michael Ironside, who in a way kind of reminds me a lot of Jack Nicholson and
Oh,
in his
absolutely.
appearance.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, yeah, he's got very much a Jack Nicholson vibe to him, but
Mhm.
in visiting hours again, he plays um I shouldn't call him a crazy in Scanners. Scanners was kind of a different notch in terms of what they were doing, but he does play a crazy in visiting hours.
Did. Yeah.
Talk about working with him.
Oh, Michael was great. You know, he was a fantastic storyteller. I mean, he's a great raconteur.
Hmm.
And he sort of stretches the truth just enough. But no, Michael was a very motivated young actor. I mean, he really was, you know, very diligent about working on his career and took the craft and the opportunity very seriously. So that was lovely to be with.
I had Lenore Zahn on here, who was also in the film, and she told an interesting story about him because she had someplace, I don't know where now, right off the top of my head, but she had an arm injury,
Mm,
but she didn't want to lose her scenes, you know, because I think she had her arm in a cast or something. And she didn't say anything to anybody, but she did say something to Michael Ironside about it because there was a scene where he has to get rough with her.
mm-hmm. Wow.
And she said that Michael Ironside not only understood, but they got through the scene, and and you can't even notice.
Oh, lovely. Yeah,
Yeah,
that sounds like Michael. Very
yeah,
thoughtful guy. Hmm.
yeah. So she shared that story, and it was great chatting with her about it. And of course, Lee Grant playing our lead, our heroine.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, Lee's, you know, foremost actress. I mean, she was an early member of the Actors Studio, and so it was legendary, really, to work with her, um, just for the gravitas that she carries as an actress. Uh, so that was really, and she was charming. She was lovely. She was fun,
Mm-hmm.
and and I don't think she and Bill had worked together before, so that was kind of nice that they got to know each other on the show. You know, as you're talking, I just remembered that we shot nights. We had the VA hospital, that Veterans Hospital, and it was so the patients basically go to bed early. So then we had all the public spaces available to us, the lobby and some for so, but that meant that we went to work at about 5 o'clock, you know, get in makeup, and then we would shoot through the night. And that was hard, just physically. You just feel like you have jet lag. And we did that. I don't know, I'm going to say a couple of weeks, that might be wrong, but something like that. And it was a beautiful facility, really, really, really beautiful facility. So we were lucky to have it, but wow. I don't recommend night shoots for any duration of time. They're just physically hard.
You know what? I just got done. Like I said, I work at the hospital here, and
Mhm.
I just got done an overnight shift. And I
right?
gotta say, I like
Brutal.
it best.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I like it best because I could schedule my interviews during the day if I need to.
Okay, good.
But I wasn't scheduled to work overnight. It was brutal on me too, and I'll tell you why. I worked from 8 to 4.
Mm-hmm.
I come home here and I did 2 podcast interviews.
Mm-hmm.
In between the two, I took my phone off flight, and there was a message on my phone from one of my supervisors asking me to call and see if I could pick up a shift for 11 that night till 7 in the morning.
Wow.
And I called back and I said, sure. Not realizing I just put myself in a lack of sleep situation, but
Mm.
but nonetheless, I did my second interview and I went to work at 11, and I'd say about halfway through there at 3 a.m. I was like, oh boy, I'm
Yeah,
feeling like a zombie.
I bet. I bet.
I got through it, but I'm going to,
Boy,
yeah.
that's brutal.
They were nice enough that because I was supposed to work the following day, 8 to 4, but they scratched that off for me to work that night shift. So, and I slept the entire next day pretty much, and my body was still feeling it. And today I was lucky enough to have off as well. I'm feeling a lot better about it.
Good.
And yeah, it must be the vibe you're giving off.
Ah, well, I doubt that, but thanks for saying so.
Well, you played a nurse, so maybe.
That's funny.
Yeah. But yeah, I feel it. But I do like working overnight shifts. I just find here's my thing. If I get off say 7 in the morning and it's a winter day, everybody else is rushing to get their coffee to wake up. I'm gonna go home to my apartment, crawl under the covers of my cat,
Mm-hmm.
and just let the world pass me by outside.
Nice, nice.
Yeah. Plus traffic's not as bad at night too. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. But so yeah, I can relate to the overnight hospital situation. They provide a nice ominous location for a horror film. Like Halloween 2 did it, Silent Rage did it in part of it, and um X-Ray that did it, and there's probably I was gonna say Young Doctors in Love, but that's not a horror film. But nonetheless, it does provide for that. So, what were your memories of William Shatner on set?
Um, well, he was just fun. He's a jovial guy.
Hmm.
He talked about his horses a lot. He was very involved with oh, I've forgotten. Anyway, and then after that, I would see him at the stables because I was riding, I was doing barrel racing at about that time. So I'd bump into him at the gators. That's what he did. He had gators. So he was grateful, unlike some people who have such a huge hit and then they get sort of squirrely about it. Bill was just nothing but grateful for Star Trek. And of course, then that it hadn't had its huge revival at that point. So, but just a very down home guy. I mean, interesting career because he had started at Stratford and classically trained actor and did so well. And so I just mainly I remember him as having been a very, very jovial, amenable kind of guy.
Absolutely, and of course Harvey Atkins was in this as well for Meatballs, playing one of the victims, bedridden victims. Um, I
Mm.
remember him in Meatballs. Of course, he'd wake up and he'd be in a different spot with his bed. So,
Hmm. Okay.
yeah. So, no, I miss the tax shelter days for film, because I think there was a lot of terrific movies that were shot here.
Hmm.
Today, you don't see a lot of that here. You see it,
That's too bad.
you get a lot of films shot here that are American produced, like Mean Girls or Deadpool or whatnot. But they're American movies, but I miss the whole Canadian thing, so it was just something that we kind of owned.
Well, and the talent pool in Canada is so vast on every level, every level. So,
I, yeah, well, I'm good friends with Lisa Langlois from class of 1984, and she opened up the whole world of conventions to me. So
mm,
that was really cool.
great.
Do you ever get to do the conventions?
I don't do them very much. Sometimes I have one it's coming up for the office that we're going to do in New Jersey in a week or so. So
Chiller?
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't Chiller. I don't think so because The Office is a comedy, so maybe it's a sitcom thing. I have no idea. But anyway,
Well, I this is something I ask all my guests. What's the most interesting thing you've ever been asked to sign?
mm, hmm. No, nothing unusual. People are very, I mean, obviously a cast, a book, a CD, a photo, but no, I've had nothing that really stands out. People are very, very respectful and so yeah, I mean, I will say that sometimes people find photos that I haven't seen ever of myself, and that's fun. It's like, oh my gosh, I remember that day or that time or that outfit or something. But so that's fun sometimes to see a photo that I don't even remember that I've never seen before.
Well, you know what? Cons are also a good opportunity where for you could sell your CDs there as well.
Mhm.
So you can open up that to fans that might not be aware of it, and you can
You bet.
market
Yeah.
that. Yeah, yeah.
If anybody has a CD player anymore, I don't know.
You know what? I still have CDs.
I do too.
Yeah,
Too.
yeah. It's strange, because I remember being in high school, we still had typewriters. It's weird how fast technology is moving.
Hmm.
Because in high school, I don't think I would have been able to do this.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
Now I got to talk about Crazy Mama
Oh,
because,
okay.
yeah, because it's interesting because I had the pleasure of interviewing Dick Miller 5 months before he passed away.
Okay. Hmm.
Yeah, that was a great find, and I was glad to have him. Um, but of course, he's in this film, and you get to work. We lost recently Cloris Leachman, a
Oh yeah.
tremendous talent that woman
Hmm.
is.
Hmm.
So, what is your memories of Crazy Mama?
Oh well, working with Cloris, she was just off of the her Academy Award winning thing then. So, and she was an extraordinary talent. And working with her at that early, so early on in my career was just great. She was informative. She is hands down the most inventive actress I've ever had a chance to work with. She uses props. She's funny. She was energy levels off the charts. Um, yeah, she was, I mean, she'd be the first to say that she's, was maybe even an eccentric, but a genius of a talent, I think. And so inquisitive. No two takes were the same. She brought out the best in everyone around her on the set. So that was very, very impactful. Very impactful.
Love her, and she was so different. Even when you see her in something like Bad Santa, where she's got little lines, boy, does she make the most of it.
Mhm.
She's great. And you
Mhm.
worked with Donnie Most in a couple of films.
I still work with Donnie. He's a, long-term friend. Yeah, we did that one together. We've done, and now Donnie is also a singer. So we'll do concerts together. I'll guest on his show or he'll guest on mine. So, you know,
I grew up with
oh
Hot
yeah, he's
Happy
a
Days.
lifelong friend. Yeah, sweet guy.
Yes, absolutely.
Mhm.
One more film I wanted to ask about, and I saw this one in the theater, was Mighty Joe Young, of course, remake of the 1949 film. I think that was the first that Ray Harryhausen had done stop motion for the original film.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, of course, this was like King Kong's cousin, so to speak, Mighty Joe
Yeah,
Young.
yeah. Well, we shot it over in Hawaii, which of course was beautiful. And the what was astonishing is I never had nor have I worked with that kind of technology. So they had actors inside the gorilla suits, going through the physical, but the fullness of their head only reached to the so the actors inside the suits were looking through the nostrils of the gorilla suit, and their physical head stopped right below the sort of the eye line of the eyeballs rather of the gorilla. So all the rest of it was all computer, and there were, I want to say, 4 technicians who were manning the part puppet, part human gorillas there. And one person alone just to manage the hair, just to get it, perfect. And then the facial expressions. And I mean, it was, and the digits, the hands, because the human hands would only go so far and the rest was, and the complexity of the operation, the things that could go wrong was just, masterful to watch, mastering. And it was great. And it was sweltering hot. So they could only stay inside those suits for a very limited period of time. So that was, I was in awe of their technology and talents and the coordination of the team effort, because they really had to think as one body and kind of intuit where the actor was going to move to next inside the suit. So that was, I think, the most fun part of shooting that.
Absolutely. How many languages can you speak?
3.
3. Okay.
French, Japanese. I'm working on Spanish. I don't, it's not pretty,
Well,
but
you
yeah.
know what? You'll probably be picking up better than me. Yeah. Do you have any charities that you want to plug and promote on here?
Oh, thank you. Well, Chris Reeve was a dear friend. And
Oh,
so, and what he and his wife set up before they passed was extraordinary. So his organization is a wonderful one, benefits so many people. And then the Actors Fund. Now, you know what? That's wrong, because they have just renamed that. Anyway, if you look up Actors Fund, and because what they do, especially in this pandemic era, when the theatrical community was hit so hard. I mean, I had been doing a play in New York. We were canceled on 1 hour's notice. And then the rest of all of Broadway was down. And then within 48 hours, all of New York was shut. So that's for museum workers, all the technicians, all the front of house, back of house theater. I mean, it was catastrophic and remained so for 2 years. Our set didn't come down for 2 years. You couldn't go in the building. So it was brutal. And thank heavens the Actors Fund was there to help people. But it needs, it did heroic work. It raised a lot of money, but it's impeccably run and services such a broad range of people. It's a very streamlined. And I say that only because, unlike some charities, you don't know, the overhead can be so much that only a small percentage of what you're giving is going to the cause that you're supporting. It's not the case with the Actors Fund. They are highly efficient, as is Chris Reeves' foundation. So I think those are 2 that I feel very good about promoting and supporting myself.
fantastic. Let us know where people can reach on your webpage. Plug your webpage on here.
Thank you very much. LindaPurl.com, but Instagram, I think, is, I don't know how many people go to website stuff anymore. So follow me on Instagram. It's Linda Purl or @LindaPurl, whatever it is. Anyway, it's my name, and follow me there.
Absolutely, absolutely. I hope to get you see you at one of the cons here.
Thank you so much.
Because I would love to get an autograph picture. So
Thank you. You bet.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right, very well. Thank you go ahead.
Before I let you go, would you
Uh-huh.
do an English plug for my show now?
Okay, tell me again, what am I saying?
Just say that you're Linda Purl and you're watching Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise.
Okay. Hi, this is Linda Purl. I'm watching Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise.
Folks, go to Linda Pearl's website, follow her on Instagram. She's a lovely human being and the best
Thank you.
part of visiting hours. I'm just going to come out and say that.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Take good
much
care.
for the
Don't work too
honor.
hard. Okay.
To try. Bye
All
bye.
right. Bye
God
for now.
bless.
Bye. Thank you. You too.